we have some new data regarding used car prices, so let's talk about it. Wholesale used vehicle prices were lower in October of this year compared to September. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index fell to 202.8, which is a decline of 3.2% from a year ago. Now, according to the Director of Economic and Industry Insights over at Cox Automotive, wholesale values were a bit weaker against what we normally see in October, and trends may have been impacted by business disruptions earlier in the month caused by Hurricanes Helene and Milton coming back to back. And in the month of October, for every week, the Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index saw week-by-week decreases. And while these decreases were no doubt good news for consumers and for people who are wanting to buy a car, the decreases were actually smaller than what we typically see in the month of October, at least when looking at pre-pandemic numbers. And these same 4 weeks delivered an average decrease of 2.5% between 2014 and 2019, which means that cars depreciated less in the month of October in 2024 compared to the same Octobers in 2014 to 2019. Throughout this month, MMR retention was at 98.6%, which means that wholesale vehicles were actually selling for a discount because, as we've discussed on this channel before, MMR retention of, say, 100% means that cars are selling for their true MMR value, and MMR retention of above 100 means that cars are selling for above their value, and below means that cars are selling for a discount. And while we haven't seen MMR values above 100 since the car market went crazy in 2021, seeing MMR retention down is always a good thing. And while MMR retention was at 98.6%, the average daily sales conversion rate in October was at 57.4%, which was a decline of 1.8 points against the month of September, but was also much higher than what we normally see in the month of October. For comparison, the average daily sales conversion rate in October over the last 3 years was 52.1%, because of the fact that October is seasonally one of the weakest months of the year. Now, as we mentioned a moment ago, the average wholesale vehicle market went down 3.2% year over year in the month of October. But in order to see how the car market is trending, let's take a look at individual vehicle segments. And looking at individual vehicle segments is super interesting because we are finally and consistently beginning to see that large swings amongst different vehicle segments. Well, those days are pretty much over, and really, regardless of which vehicle segment you're looking at, depreciation is pretty consistent across the board, with the exception of electric vehicles. We really have two losers whenever we're looking at individual vehicle segments. EVs is no doubt the first one, with a depreciation rate of 11.1% year over year compared to the 3.2% of the average market, which means that electric vehicles are depreciating at a much more accelerated rate compared to the normal average everyday car. But surprisingly enough, pickup trucks is another loser, and pickup trucks are depreciating at a faster rate compared to the overall market and basically every other market segment aside from electric vehicles. And pickup trucks have declined in value by 6% year over year. But pickup trucks aside, basically all other vehicle segments are very, very close together. Non-electric vehicles saw a depreciation of 3.5%, SUVs and crossover vehicles saw depreciation of 3.9%, compact cars were also at 3.5%, while luxury and mid-sized cars were both at 3%. This is really great news, and it really adds to the stability that the car market is beginning to see. But if you've seen my market report videos before, then you know that I am a firm believer that we can talk all day long about what cars are actually worth, but what really matters is how much cars are really selling for, how much people are trying to sell them for, and if these cars are actually selling. So the next source that I want to look at is Car Gurus, which gives us some great insight into the used vehicle market through their third-party platform. You can see here that I've taken the graph and I've narrowed down the dates to show us roughly the last year, from November 7th, 2023 to November 7th, 2024, with the decline decreasing quite a bit between March of this year and November of this year with some ups and downs, making it to where if you look at March of this year compared to current day, car prices are relatively flat. We really saw the bulk of our declines happen between November of last year and February of this year. If we look at individual vehicle segments, you can see that there has been a turnaround in the last 30 days, which is promising. You can see that with last 90-day data, the majority of vehicle segments actually saw appreciation, but if we look at the last 30 days, all of the vehicle segments have seen depreciation. Though the depreciation certainly isn't massive, it is a good thing nonetheless. If we look at individual vehicle segments, we see more of the same, which is excellent news. You can see that in the last 90 days, it's a bit of a hit or a miss. We have some cars that appreciated, some that depreciated, But if we take a look at the last 30 days, the vast majority of cars are depreciating in value and going down, which is a great sign. Some of the biggest depreciation losers come from brands like Dodge, which have depreciated by 1.38%, Alfa Romeo, which has depreciated by 1.25%, Tesla, which has depreciated by 1.36%. And whenever we look at depreciation, there are some solid winners that have had pretty predictable depreciation over the last couple of years, like Toyota, which has depreciated by only about 0.5%, Porsche's only declined by 0.36%, Nissan by 0.1%, and shockingly enough, Polestar, which has only declined by 0.3%, which is actually extremely good for an electric vehicle, as well as brands like Lexus, which have depreciated by about 0.3%. And I can't believe I missed it, but one of the biggest winners here is Jeep, oddly enough. A brand under the Stellantis umbrella, and it's not only surprising to see that Jeep has appreciated, but it's appreciated by quite a lot. Now, what this tells us is that the car market, at least according to these metrics that we just reviewed, it's sort of a mixed bag. I wouldn't say that the car market is good and it's favoring the car buyer, but I also certainly wouldn't say that it's bad either. And depending on what specific car that you're looking at, you could either find cars that are good deals or probably just average deals. But one thing that is abundantly clear with the current state of the car market, even if it's not crystal clear whenever you're looking at metrics like Manheim or Car Gurus, is that in the current state of the car market, you can no doubt find discounts pretty much with any vehicle that you're wanting to buy. I don't care if you're wanting to buy a car from an automaker with high inventory or low inventory, pretty much across the board, dealerships are discounting prices. And you can really see this by looking at platforms like cars.com and searching for the average used car. Pretty much regardless of what you're looking for, you'll find discounts. Of course, we have cars from high inventory automakers like Alfa Romeo who just aren't selling cars well. This car is a 2020 with 42,000 miles and it's listed for $23,000. This car has seen $2,000 in price reductions in the last 39 days, with the last one coming just a few days ago. We have something like this 2024 Subaru Crosstrek, which only has about 3,000 miles and is listed for $31,000. This car has been listed for a whopping 124 days, but has seen over $3,200 in price reductions. But most recently, in the last couple of days, it's actually seen a price increase. Another Stellantis automaker here with a 2023 Jeep Wrangler, which has 35,000 miles and is listed for just over $34,000. This car has been listed for 129 days, has seen $4,600 in price reductions, but has also seen a couple of price increases mixed in there as well. We have a 2023 Chevrolet Equinox, which has just under 20,000 miles and is listed for just under $24,000. This car has been listed for 184 days and has only seen $1,500 in price reductions, but I would be willing to bet almost anything that with these cars that have been listed for over 120 days, if you were to actually go into the dealership and ask them for a discount, they would probably give it. But like I mentioned a moment ago, even cars from automakers that have low inventory, they are also discounting prices. Like this 2021 Lexus ES250, which has 33,000 miles, is listed for $30,000, and you can see it has seen $1,000 in price reductions in the last 37 days. And while this is cars.com, and cars.com typically tends to be a bit more formal than platforms like Facebook Marketplace, even on Facebook Marketplace, I am finding that the cars are also a bit of a hit or a miss. Some cars are being sold for great prices and sellers are eager to sell, whereas other sellers think that it's still 2021 and they can sell their vehicles for a high premium despite the fact that they're in poor condition. But regardless, what this car market is currently telling us is that in this market, you can absolutely find good deals. You can find cars that are good quality cars with relatively low mileage and even cars that are relatively new for a price that is not only below market value, but also for a price that's heavily discounted off of the listing price. And I think that the most important takeaway here is that if you are someone who is in the market to buy a used car, make sure to look and see how long the car has been sitting on dealership lots for and use that to your advantage. But also make sure to never ever pay above MSRP or above asking. But not only that, we are officially in November and we are heading into not only Black Friday season, but also Christmas and end of year, end of quarter. And I will predict that in the next 6 weeks or so, it'll be one of the best times to buy a car. And so if you are someone who is in the market to buy a car, it's becoming very, very close to the perfect time to make that purchase. This is less true if you're someone who has a poor credit score or if you're someone who's wanting to finance for the full 72 months. If you fall into this category of buyer, I would probably recommend waiting until next year because interest rates will no doubt be lower, and I don't expect for us to see the full brunt of interest rates lowering by the end of this year. But if you are someone who's either wanting to borrow for a short term or paying cash, it could be an excellent time to buy. Remember, my courses, the Car Sharing Masterclass and the Car Buying Masterclass, are on sale for Black Friday. You can use the code BlackFriday275 to get $275 off the Car Sharing Masterclass, and you can use the code BlackFriday125 to get $125 off the Car Buying Masterclass. Like always, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.